Hey, what's up guys? In today's video, I want to share with you a few things that I learned that helped me finally break my squat plateau. Just to show some proof, here's a video of me squatting 225 in July 2021, and here's another video of me 4 months later squatting 325 in November 2021. Now, although I've been lifting for over 7 years, I'd say I've definitely made more progress in the past year than I have in my 7 years of lifting. I built my squat up to 225 within the first 2 years. Or at least I thought I did, but obviously, as you can see here, it's a quarter squat. Yes, I was one of those. But yeah, I just stayed stuck at that weight, or at least thinking I could squat that weight for 4 years. Maybe a lot of what I'm going to share is going to seem obvious to you, but it wasn't obvious to me, and these are all things that I've implemented and learned only in the past year. So yeah, I thought I'd make a video. Hopefully it could help out anyone else trying to improve their squat. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is belts and knee sleeves. While these are not necessary, they definitely help a lot. I used to think that belts were for people with back problems and knee sleeves were for people with knee problems. I didn't really see the purpose of getting them until one day I tried my friends, and that was actually the first time I was ever able to properly squat 225 for reps. I noticed a huge difference right away. Even with the soft belt, I felt a lot stronger and more stable. So highly suggest investing in a good belt. SPD is the best in my opinion. It is a little pricey, but it's definitely worth the investment. Okay, now let's talk about knee sleeves. So these provide you with bounce at the bottom of your squat. That being said, they help a lot with depth, and they're also said to add quite a few pounds to your squat. I did feel like I could squat up to 20 pounds more with them on. So yeah, knee sleeves, something else I would recommend looking into. Another thing I want to talk about is shoes when squatting. So I feel like a lot of people are going to have different opinions and preferences when it comes to shoes, but I personally almost always squat barefoot. I say almost always because in powerlifting competitions, you're actually not allowed to squat barefoot. So I did wear Vans when I competed. If you are going to wear shoes, at least make sure that they're flat soled. So for example, Converse or Vans, and not the ones with a big arch or heel. Squat University has a bunch of great videos on this. I won't go too much into it. As for lifting shoes, I've honestly never tried them, so I can't really say anything good or bad about them. Alright, the next thing I want to go over is form. More specifically, high bar versus low bar. So let's go back and take another look at my squat, I don't know, pre-powerlifting. So I was doing a mix of high bar and low bar. Honestly, I didn't really know that there was a difference, so I was just doing the only squat form that I knew. But when I switched to low bar and started doing proper low bar form, I definitely felt a lot stronger and my squat looked a lot smoother. So for low bar, yeah, you're gonna have the bar lower on your back, and you're also going to be leaning forward a bit more, whereas high bar, the bar is placed higher on your back and you're gonna maintain more of an upright torso position. Most people are a lot stronger on low bar, and most powerlifters do low bar, so it could be advantageous to you to consider switching if you're not already doing low bar. Next thing I want to talk about is the warm-up. So this is super important. I used to start every session with 10 minutes of sprints on the treadmill. Now, I don't think anyone else does that, but if you do, I highly recommend not doing that. Now I warm up with 5 to 10 minutes of light cardio, either incline walking on the treadmill or stairs. I don't always do cardio. I'll usually do it if I'm cold or if I'm waiting for a rack, which happens often. It's okay if you skip the cardio, but the one thing I would say to not skip is dynamic stretching to warm up all the muscles involved in the squat, to get the body ready, prevent injury, and just help with overall mobility. Okay, now that we're all warmed up, the next thing I want to talk about is setting up. Some mistakes that I used to make are just common mistakes that I see. First off, a mistake that I used to make often was setting the bar height too high, which would cause me to lose balance when I unrack and just lose tightness. If you're between two rack heights or you're sharing a rack with someone who is taller, choose the lower height because it's better to do an extra little squat than to have to get on your tippy toes, cause the weight to shift back, and lose balance. Another thing you don't want to do is start with one foot in front of the other. You want to make sure you're lifting it off 2 feet and the weight is evenly distributed. You're going to take 2 to 3 steps back. I wouldn't take more than that. You really want that process to be as efficient as possible because you want to preserve as much energy as possible. Okay, now this might be the biggest game changer, but following a good program. So I never followed a program before. I would always make my own, but I didn't know anything when it came to powerlifting or strength training until I met Justin. If you don't know him, which I'm sure most of YouTube does, I'll put his channel here. He definitely knows his stuff. He knows what to do to get strong. Our first date was a workout together, and he was like, "Oh, you're pretty strong. You should start powerlifting." And I was like, "Well, I don't know how." And he was like, "Well, I'll make you a program." So next thing you know, he made me a program. I followed it and yeah, I got pretty strong. I've learned so much from Justin. I've gotten to the point where I'm able to coach people, so that is super fun and I'm super grateful for that. Alright, the next thing I want to talk about is how often you should be squatting. But you want to squat between 2 and 3 times a week. I used to do like a really heavy squat day at the beginning of the week. Well, like really heavy as in like I would go for my 1 rep max, or at least try, and then I would do like a bunch of leg exercises and just absolutely demolish my legs. Then I'd be too fried and too sore, so I was only able to do 1 squat session a week. But now I squat 2 times a week, 1 heavier main day and another lighter secondary day. And on my heavy day, I don't try and go for a 1 rep max. In fact, I actually only test my 1 rep max every couple of months. Alright, the last thing I want to talk about is food and supplements.
Anyway,
you need to make sure you're eating enough, especially when it comes to protein. Around this time, I started tracking my protein and realized I was struggling to get between 80 and 90 grams, whereas I should be getting at least 160 for my body weight. So I started eating more protein, which I'm not gonna lie, was hard at first, but it's definitely worth it. So yeah. The last thing I want to mention is I also started taking creatine at the time, which I would also recommend. It's a super safe and highly researched supplement. It's said to help your muscles produce energy during heavy lifting or high intensity exercise and also help with recovery. So it honestly has many benefits. You can do your own research, but yeah, highly recommend it. That's pretty much everything. I could have gone in more detail and talked a bit more about certain things, but I didn't want to make this video too long. Although if you do have any questions, let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.